West Foster, I think. Always a joy to be with Foster Freeze, and it's always you never know what you're going to get. I've been watching a little bit of what's going on here at CPAC, and I hear a lot of, we have to win. Now, we all know what they mean. They actually mean we have to lose. We have to lose those currently unfashionable stances on cultural and limited government issues that have been proven over time to give Americans the best chance for a healthy, happy life. So we're told that we have to put aside what we believe is in the best interest of the country so a Republican candidate can win. Now, that may result in a win for a Republican candidate, but it will be a devastating loss for America. I don't know about you, but I'm not out here fighting just to elect Republican candidates and let them win. I'm here to see America win. By the way, how did it work out for the Republican establishment in following their lead for nominating moderate candidates in the last two presidential elections? Let's face it. We have a bunch of leaders in this country who don't believe conservative policies can be the basis of a winning national election. And so they put forth candidates that keep apologizing for the principles they say they believe in. And then they wonder why they lose. I want to win too. I think everybody here wants to win. But unlike a lot of these Beltway talking heads, I'm not pontificating. I actually put my neck out there and just about every other body part. You may recall that I ran for president in 2012. I didn't run to carry an agenda. I didn't run to put forth issues. I ran because I wanted us to win the White House. I wanted us to be successful in transforming America away from the policies of this administration, to create a better America for the people who are struggling. And let's make no mistake about it. Millions and millions and millions more people are struggling because of the policies of this administration. In spite of being outspent 4 or 5 to 1 in almost every state, we won 11 states. That's more states than any second-place finisher since a guy who finished second back in 1976 named Reagan. Now, the popular consensus of the media is that, well, he won because he was a conservative, he was a cultural conservative, and he appealed to the cultural conservative voters. Well, that really wasn't true. Let's be honest. Everybody in that race was a cultural conservative. They all had the same positions I had. Almost identical. But you wouldn't know that. No, we went out and talked about something different. We went out and talked about focusing on those who are working Americans. Notice I didn't say middle class. I don't know why we do this, fellow conservatives and Republicans. Why do we use a term, I should say, that is of the other side? Why do we, as Republicans who believe in the dignity of every human life, who believe in equality of opportunity for everyone to rise, adopt a class-envy leftist language that divides America against themselves? Classes in America? Do we really accept the fact there are classes in America? No. Then why do we use that term? Why do we adopt their language? We have to stop that. We have to stop acting like them and somehow feeling we can reach out to folks. We should use the term working Americans because unlike them, we believe work is a good thing. They use the class rhetoric because another, one ethnic group against another. One group of Americans, that's what they do, they divide. Let them divide. Let us unify. We saw from news today that President Obama's policies continue to create an ever-increasing wealth gap in America. When I was out there campaigning, I was campaigning talking about the 70% of Americans who will not get a college degree. 70% do not have college degrees, and that number is not changing at all in America. What are we going to do to talk to them? Our answer has always been, well, we'll cut taxes for high-income people. Now, I believe in that policy. But if you're sitting there, underemployed, unemployed, looking for a job, wanting to move up in your job, and all we're talking about is cutting taxes for high-income people, doesn't exactly connect emotionally. Doesn't exactly resonate with the people that we're talking about. So what I did is I went out and talked about, yes, cutting taxes, but for manufacturing, so we can create jobs for those folks who don't go to college, that are good-paying jobs so they can rise in society and provide for their families. We celebrate that all work is good work, whether it's in manufacturing or energy, two things that we can grow and expand and really get behind and create not just a quality of life for the people who are working, but better energy prices, better quality goods and services for people here in America.
Yeah, keep back up.
That's a plan and a vision that connects with those folks who stayed home in the last couple of elections, particularly the last election. We saw this in Ohio, hundreds of thousands of people who stayed home because they couldn't vote for Barack Obama. They knew that his policies were horrendous and hurting them, not just them. So they couldn't vote for him. But they also couldn't vote for us.
Line over there or something.
They couldn't vote for us because they didn't think who cared. They didn't think who cared about them. So they stayed home. And now we're here because we didn't connect with them. Ladies and gentlemen, times are uncertain in America, even today. Saw the unemployment numbers not getting any better. You hear predictions the economy's going to start to falter again. People are nervous, anxious.
No, they rotate in 10 or 12 at a time.
There's not 10 or 12.
People ask me, why did we not win an election where so many people were doing so poorly and the economy was so bad? Here. Look at where Barack Obama got the votes. He got the votes from people who are the most economically vulnerable. Here. And we're out there saying, we're going to cut this and cut that and cut this.
We need to come up with one plan.
And you're sitting here holding on by your fingernails.
Well, in fairness, this is the first time they've had this layout, so they're probably experimenting on the fly.
Second day.
Employer who might be hired.
We should have it figured out by now.
We're in trouble as a party. Here's the sad part. We are the party who has the policies that will work best for these folks. We are the party that will create growth and opportunity. We are the party that believes in restoring something that is broken in most of the communities where people are struggling, the American family. You know, I talked about how important it was that the American family be the center of all of our policies, our economic policies. Because if you look at it, the word economy comes from the Greek word oikos, which means home or family. The first economy is the home. And when the home breaks down, the economy breaks down. I don't want to talk about redefining marriage. I want to talk about reclaiming marriage as a good for society and celebrating how important it is for our economy. But that's not what we did. That's not what we did. We went out and talked about jobs and creators. And that's what we do as Republicans. We've got to face it. We're out there talking as if everybody who's a voter is like us. Sort of high energy, type A people who want to reach for the brass ring. You know what? We need folks like that, and we need to have policies that encourage people to do that. But you know what? We also need folks who are going to work 9 to 5 in the home and coach a little league. We also need them to work at the library and volunteer. And to be a parent in the neighborhood when maybe another parent isn't around. We need people like that. That's the thought, the backbone of America. These folks who don't value just money, but they value family and community and children. America is a great country because we have that strong infrastructure of family and community. And ladies and gentlemen, it is falling apart. 40% now of children in America are born to a single mother. 40. In the poor neighborhoods, it's 3 out of 4. In neighborhoods, there are no dads. I hear Ben Carson gives a wonderful talk about how he was raised as a single mom. We had dads in the community that helped. There are no dads. And you say, well, what can government do about it? Well, what can government do about getting people to stop smoking? Turn down the liquor law. What can private enterprise do to help support marriage? Well, it turns out when they take a cause, it turns out they can do a lot. What about education? What if we get the educational institutions behind valuing marriage and talking about the importance of it? How about if businesses say that they'll actually give marriage counseling as part of a benefit? How about if we have a movement to reclaim the true, beautiful institution of marriage? Well, we talk about job creators, not job holders. I'll give you the classic example during the campaign. It was on a convention night. I was there. I spoke that night, and I was backstage, and I saw all of these folks who were wonderful people, small business people, some big business people. And all throughout the convention hall, on every seat, was a placard that said, "We built that." Because you remember, President Obama said, "Hey, you didn't build that." And so we got all outraged. Yes, we did. And so we trotted out small business person after small business person after small business person after large business person to say to the very small percentage of business people who start their own businesses in America that we built it. We didn't send one server at a restaurant to go out there on that stage and talk about how grateful she was that her employer sacrificed a lot to create a job for her. And then we didn't have that employer walk out on that same stage and put his arm around that server and say, "I thank God for you and the work that you're doing." That's uniting America, not dividing. We as a people, I understand why people come out on this stage and they bang away President Obama. I mean, I know it's fun. I mean, I get it. It's also easy. Getting easy, I might add. But that isn't going to win people who are sitting at home who are hurt. They don't feel better. We feel better. I think we need to take a lesson from someone who is maybe the most popular person in the world right now, Pope Francis. Surprised I went to Santorum and suggested we take lessons from Pope Francis. But I did. Because what Pope Francis is doing, he's going out there and not talking about what the Christian faith is against. He's going out there and talking about what we're for. He hasn't changed a single policy. He won't change a single policy. But what he'll do is he'll go out there and talk about the good news to a hurting world, because he believes If that's what the world needs, it needs the Lord. Well, we're not a religion, and we're not going to go out there and talk about the good news. But what we need to do is talk about the news of a good America and what that good America can be. We need to paint a picture for people. We need to use a brush where they see themselves in the painting. They see a part of their life where they hear someone say, or they see a policy and they say, that's me. We need to be the that's me part. There are more and more speakers that will come up, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun cheering and stomping your feet and railing on Obama. Get it out of your system. Because after we leave here, we got a job to do. We got to win. We will win not by further dividing, but we win by uniting. So I ask each and every one of you, candidates and supporters of candidates, to go out and stand with that underemployed person working 2 jobs and talk about what we're going to do to help them. Stand with the unemployed. Stand with the single mom holding things together. Stand with the people who are fearful, because fear is powerful. And overcoming fear is what makes America the greatest country in the world, and you can be a part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity. Yes, because of they're messing up big time. We have an opportunity. Let's not blow it by just talking about them. Let's talk about how we can build a great America. Thank you, guys.